Hi everybody, I'm Alice K. Ruckelhaus from SufferingWell and the How Initiative, and I'm here to show you my work on my journal for Moldova, which is the country that I'm praying for. Sorry about that if I just moved the camera a bit. So I'm doing kind of a junk journal, scrapbooking type of style, and I worked on one page that I want to show you, and I want to talk about it. I want to also show you what I'm doing with my journal, how I'm using it in my prayer time. And then I'm going to do another video, which I may actually post before this, about the lettering that I do here, because I had been asked about how to do that kind of lettering, and it's very easy, and so you might really enjoy doing it. So I may have already posted it. If so, I'll link it below and you can find it that way. So what I've been doing is, so far, I've been sticking to pretty much surfacey stuff about Moldova. I like to find out about a subject just on the surface at first. So like usually what I'll do if I'm researching something is I'll look at children's books first, because they give you a good sense of the subject. And then I'll dive in deeper with books that are written more for adults and serious scholars or whatever, depending on what it is that I'm studying. I haven't found any children's books about Moldova, and I haven't really looked at many videos yet. That's also something that I would usually do first, is look at maybe the touristy type of videos. I think I did look at one tourist video, and it was really pretty. But when you're looking at the shallow things like that, the surfacey things, it's not that you can't find something to pray about. It's a little bit harder because it doesn't seem quite so obvious, but the reason I like to look at the surfacey things first is because it gives me a sense of what's on top, the top layers, and then going down deeper and deeper and deeper. So for example, the flag of Moldova. So I want to find out, like, what's the symbols? What are the symbols meaning? What do the colors mean and everything? So I've got that here. And then I've got a prayer that I showed you last time, I think it was last time, that I had AI write for me, which was really good, remarkably good. But another thing that I'll do is, you see all this space around these. And so as I'm reading through these pages and praying for Moldova, sometimes something in that will strike me. And so like here, there was something in Great Basil that made me think about without looking at it real closely, about every knee bowing to Jesus. I think it was, it's here. Okay, so I looked up what basil means, what it symbolizes, because a lot of plants symbolize things. Basil is associated with the feast of the exaltation of the Holy Cross because of the story of the Empress Helena finding the true cross under a basil plant. The Empress named the plant Vasilico, which means of the king. And so that made me think of the scripture, Philippians 2:10, sorry about that noise, I just knocked over my glue, that says, every knee will bow and every tongue will confess that Jesus is Lord. He's the true king, okay? And then also because basil represents the resurrection, one time when I was coming through here and reading over this, the thought came to me to pray, Lord, please help Moldovans to live in the life and power of your resurrection. So I just wrote that here. Now I might pray more, but I'm not going to write down every single word that I pray, but this gives me just an idea. David was asking me today, what is my purpose in keeping this kind of journal? So I wanted to share that with you. There are a couple purposes. First of all, it's to help me to learn more about Moldova and to remember what I'm learning and to use that to pray for that country. It's also to inspire you to maybe do a notebook like this, but even if you're just watching this and not doing it, it might give you ideas of things to look for and how to use those to inform your prayers. But it's also because it's a legacy. Someday I'm going to die, and hopefully I'll have all my journals, which I've kept since high school, up in order on some shelves. Like I have my mom's journals all in chronological order on the shelves. She gave those to me. She's still alive, but she gave those to me, and she even put those into the right order and everything. I'll have mine hopefully on the opposite shelves, and whoever is sorting through my stuff will find this, and maybe they'll be inspired to pray for Moldova, or maybe they'll be inspired to choose another country, maybe even a different country every year or something. I just hope that somehow this will be a legacy that's passed down to other people, not just a legacy about me, but something that inspires other people. So those are the reasons why I do this. And so like on this page, I've got the eagle, I've got the oryx, and sometime I'll be looking at this or maybe even reading what they symbolize, and it'll make me think of something to pray for Moldova. So I'll put it in here. And I don't try to have my pages look all beautiful and neat. I do a certain amount of arranging, and I like to have color on them because that looks nice. And obviously I'm trying to make it look nice with the lettering, but I don't try to, for example, keep everything straight or anything. And I use, some places I might have cursive, some places I might have printing. It doesn't matter. I want this to be real, not just, a piece of art. I want it to be something that maybe the person who finds this and is inspired to pray for Moldova will also write their prayers in here. Okay, so we've talked about what I do with this, how I add prayers to it, and we've talked about why I've been doing surfacey stuff. Okay, so yesterday, I wanted to find out something about the children. I was thinking more of like, what kind of games do they play? What is the education system like and stuff like that. I just Googled Moldova children, and what I got was heartbreaking. It was a document by some organization, I can't remember what, that told about Moldovan children being subjected to some of the worst kinds of child labor. And what it is, and including sex trafficking, and what it is that Moldova gets a lot of their income from exporting agricultural items. And so like flowers and food and stuff. And oftentimes the parents are separated from their children while they're doing this. They go from one place to another. So they're migrant farm workers, and they get separated from the children. And then the children are subjected to sex trafficking, agricultural work, or even dangerous work. A lot of times people will, and this used to happen in the US more than 100 years ago, but children can fit into small spaces and they can clamber over machinery and stuff. And so they'll send children to do some of these things that are really dangerous. And so the children in Moldova are at a lot of risk because of that. So I wrote down, children in Moldova have been subject to some of the worst forms of child labor. And see here, I made a mistake with how I was writing. Okay, I just corrected it right there. I didn't say, oh no, I've got to start over and write a new page. I'm not trying to be a perfectionist. It's okay. If you want to be a perfectionist, that's fine. But I want to try to release you from that if it's something that stresses you out. If you like to be a perfectionist and it helps you to feel really good that everything looks perfect, great, more power to you. But if that's a stressful thing, I want to release you from that. Okay, so children in Moldova have been subject to some of the worst forms of child labor. Labor migration separates children from their parents, and they are exploited. Children are subject to sex trafficking. They also labor in agriculture and hazardous forms of child labor. And then I've got, this is a picture from my quote unquote clip art that I had ChatGPT create for me. So I just cut it out, and I'll talk about the brown on the edges a little bit later. Boys and girls are recruited for commercial sex as early as 10 years old. That's horrible. Okay, and then from that, I came up with a couple of prayer points. Pray for the protection of children. Pray for protective laws and good training for enforcers, because one of the things that's happening there is they have some laws that are supposed to protect the children, but other laws have made that very difficult to carry out. Like they can't inspect businesses for child labor unless they have certain things happening that are almost impossible to get, even if there is child labor going on in those places. Okay, and then I wrote, Dear Lord, please send your angels to protect and rescue these children. Please strengthen their guardian angels to protect them and somehow lead them to you within their hardships. A lot of times our trials are what bring us closer to the Lord or even lead us to him. So I'm asking him to have their guardian angels, which is what their guardian angels do, what they want to do, to help them. Okay, and then I decorated this with, I have these stickers that I found that have the little Russian dolls. I'm kind of assuming, I haven't looked this up yet, so I don't know for sure. This is one of the things that I expected to find out when I was just looking at Moldovan children. but I'm kind of assuming that they also play with these kind of dolls, and I can't remember what they're called. But anyway, I've got a bunch of stickers like that, so I'll have those throughout the thing. And then I also have some purple Post-it notes with flowers on. They're not Post-it notes, actually. They're just little sheets of paper. There's 100 sheets of paper. Don't feel like you need to go and buy all kinds of stuff like this. I've been doing junk journaling for 6 or 7 years, so I've been collecting stuff like this for a long time, and it's like, oh yeah, this is a great way to use it. This I actually got for stuff that I do for my mom because she loves purple, but I'm going to borrow some of it for this. And I have another one that has yellow flowers because I really like yellow and gold and stuff. So I cut that out and I put it for the prayer points. And then I made little dots around it because, like I told you, I just like framing things sometimes. And then I took one of the pieces of paper from that little booklet of papers, this one here, and cut out a heart, which I put here. And then I just felt like it needed more, so I cut little strips to put in little sprinkles all over the place, which is going to make it a little bit harder for me to use this page and write prayers on it. But if I need to, I'll show you a way that you can extend this page out. Okay, so I'm going to go back and talk about what I did with this picture right here. So this is what's called distressing, when you put this brown all the way around it. And what I have is distressing ink. And this is from Jim Holtz. Junk journalers love him. It's acid free, so you can use it in archival type things and everything. And then you can get refills of ink that you pour onto it. I probably had to refill this like 5 or 6 times. And then you use a little sponge on a handle, and this sponge is Velcroed. I don't want to get ink all over my hand, but you can take it off and replace it with a new sponge too. So what I do, I love doing this. I love distressing stuff. Okay, so let's say that this is like a piece of paper, like that picture of the children. Okay, so I've got this, and you hold the page, and I like to bend it a little bit when I'm holding it, and just take the ink and go like this all around it, and see how it doesn't give you a real even edge. Hopefully I can zoom in on that when I'm editing this. It's like it kind of spills into there, so it makes it look like it's aged. I used to do this with matches. You know, I would burn the edges of paper. This is a lot safer and a lot easier, and there's all different colors of this distressing ink. You can get yellow. I have blue here someplace. Oh, here it is. You can get blue and use a different one of these sponges for each color. But there's like tons and tons of different colors. So you can use that on edges of stuff. I use the brown the most because I'm trying to make things look like they're kind of old, you know. I might even at some point, if I'm really bored and have the time, I might go around and distress all the pages too, but I kind of doubt that I'll have time to do that. And you can see that I did that here on this paper too. I also did it, it's not as obvious on this picture of the basil. I did that there too, but if you look really closely, you could see that it's distressed as well. It looks really, really neat when you distress pages that you've torn. That looks really cool. So I'll do that at some point and show you that too. So I'm just going to put this in. You know, again, the beauty of using a binder is that you can change the order of your pages whenever you want to, but right now I'm going to put it at the end of the more surfacey type of stuff, but this may go a little bit deeper into my notebook. And there's room here for me to write, or for my descendants to write something, or whoever finds my notebook someday. You know, hopefully it won't just be thrown away. But God knows, you know, he has a plan for what he wants to do with this and with all of our life works. Okay, so I think that's all for this video. And then I'm going to do a video on the lettering, which, like I said, I'm hoping to post earlier because I have been asked about that lettering. And so I want to put that for people to be able to use. Anyway, if you have any questions, please let me know. If you're just watching this because it's fun to watch, that's great. Use it, though, as a way to maybe give you some ideas of things that you can look for. Even if you don't copy things, even if you don't print them out or even write about them, but just, be aware that looking at a map might tell you something about how to pray for the country, or looking at the flag and what the colors represents tells you about the values of that country and might give you some ideas to pray for. All right, so I love you all. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.